Some of the attendees happen to be financially successful people and, according to her, she can seek financial advice and make business connections. She also happens to love traveling, which is probably the main reason she likes going, especially when it takes place abroad. On the bright side, she came back from the first seminar abroad motivated to start a new business. On the other hand, she brought COVID back with her that time. We all got sick, and with my kids still burning with fever for days, she just kept talking about wanting to go abroad for the next seminar. I snapped, and we got into an argument, but this didn't stop her at all. That year, she went to 4 seminars abroad, leaving me alone to juggle work, house chores, and childcare for around 2 weeks each time. My kids missed her badly, often crying and asking why their mom wasn't home for days. Her parents helped sometimes, but it was still tough. They also disapproved of her behavior and kept constantly telling me that she was being selfish, that she didn't used to be like this, and that she'd stop at some point. She promised she'd only attend for that year since she had already paid for the seminar's yearly membership fee, which cost over $5,000. The following year, she didn't go, but I could see she was constantly irritated. Despite this, after receiving financial aid from me and her parents, she focused on her business, which started to take off after some struggles, and she is not depressed anymore. She also started partially contributing towards our finances as well from this year. Early this year, she mentioned wanting to re-enroll in the seminar. Hearing that brought back all the tough memories from last time. We argued, but she enrolled anyway, promising to only attend domestic ones, which would take only 2 or 3 days at most. Nonetheless, our relationship has been strained ever since. Moreover, she broke that promise and is currently abroad at one of these seminars again, although she arranged some childcare this time. Needless to say, this has still been tough for me and the kids. Recently, she said she feels controlled by me and the kids and sometimes wishes to just leave and live alone. The reason? She loves traveling, the seminar after parties are a lot of fun, and she feels we're in her way of freely living the life she wants. That in reality, there are so many more things she'd like to do but doesn't because of me and the kids. Just to clarify, other than these seminars, I've never prevented her from doing anything she wants. Honestly, I don't even mind her going abroad at all. I know how much she loves traveling, and I'd be more than happy to take care of the house and the kids, or even go together with her. It's just mentally exhausting to be single parenting alone for days while she goes to listen to this so-called financial guru. I've been seriously depressed for months because of this. Despite everything, I still love her, but I feel our marriage is falling apart. Thoughts of ending everything once and for all have crossed my mind, but I think about our kids and try to stay strong for them. Honestly, I don't know what to do anymore. There are just so many thoughts in my head right now. Can I save my marriage? Update 1 month 2 weeks later. I just found out my wife has been cheating on me with multiple partners for the past 2 years. I'm in shock, and I really need some advice right now. My wife, 37F, and I, 40M, have been married for 10 years, and we recently celebrated our anniversary. We have 2 wonderful kids together. Since the beginning of the year, things have been off between us. She's been acting strangely, irritable, avoiding me, and we haven't been intimate much. Some days she's happy, and on other days, she's fully irritated. Sometimes she's a great mother to our kids, while at other times, she wishes they had never been born. Recently, I had to go to the urologist for a UTI, and the test suggested it might be an STD. This was a huge shock because I've never been with anyone other than my wife since we started dating. Right now, she's away at a so-called business seminar, which I talked about in a different post. She has been keeping diaries for over a decade, and out of desperation, I read them for the first time ever. It turns out she's been having multiple affair partners for the past 2 years. In particular, there was one affair that lasted over a year, and it seems part of her irritability was due to her lover moving on to someone else. I also discovered she has a hidden Tinder account and has been meeting with other men regularly. I am devastated beyond words. I feel lost and unsure of what to do, especially since we have 2 little kids who mean the world to me. I need some advice on how to handle this situation. Should I confront her immediately? Should I consult a lawyer first? How do I even begin to process this betrayal and protect my kids through all of this? Thank you for any guidance you can offer during this incredibly difficult time. Second update 1 month 1 week later. Thank you all for your invaluable advice and support. It has been a tremendous help during this difficult time. After my last post, my in-laws kindly offered to look after the kids while my wife was away at her seminar. They remain unaware of the turmoil I've been experiencing. I used this time to go through her diaries and take pictures of their contents. Each entry felt like a stab in the back, leaving me in a state of shock and disbelief. I just don't recognize the person I thought I knew and loved for over a decade anymore. To avoid going into too much detail, the revelations in the diaries would make any movie or TV series I've ever seen pale in comparison. She has been involved with at least 6 different men over the past 2 years. These affairs occurred not only during her so-called seminars but also during short business trips, dinners, and other supposed work-related events. Meanwhile, I was at home, taking care of the kids and naively believing I was supporting her career. Some entries vividly describe how great these encounters were for her, all while expressing gratitude towards me for being a devoted husband and father, without a single trace of remorse. This lack of guilt and the extent of her deception make me question her emotional and mental state. While reading through the diaries, I felt an overwhelming sense of despair and seriously contemplated sewer slide. In the end, I sought refuge with friends for a few days, as I felt I couldn't be alone, otherwise, I might have done something irreversible. They supported me a lot during this time and helped me get in contact with a therapist. I'm now attending regular therapy sessions once a week. They also helped me get in touch with lawyers specializing in divorce. I'm also receiving treatment for my STD as well. Returning home after picking up the kids from my in-laws was an emotionally devastating experience. I couldn't bring myself to smile at all. At some point, while contemplating all the possible ways I could end my life, my daughter just looked at me and saw my face. Without saying a word, she came over and wrapped her arms around me. At that moment, I broke down, held her tightly, and burst into tears in front of her. She's my sweet angel, and the shame of having considered leaving my kids to suffer under their mother's disdain was almost too much to bear. For the first few weeks after finding out, I could barely sleep and had to rely on sleeping pills just to get through the nights. My motivation was at an all-time low, affecting both my home life and my work. I forced myself to continue exercising and found that it was the only thing that actually made me feel better during this time. To whoever said in the previous post that I shouldn't give up on exercising, thank you, you may have just saved my life. The stress intensified after my wife returned from her trip. Initially, it took all my energy to hide my disgust toward her and the knowledge I had gained about her actions. I've somewhat gotten used to this now, but it remains emotionally draining. She did notice that something was off, but still seems to believe that I am entirely unaware of what has transpired. Her lack of shame is staggering. Just recently, she asked me to buy her the expensive gift I promised for our 10-year anniversary, which I made an excuse not to buy yet, despite her going on another business trip the day after our anniversary, an event described in excruciating detail in her diaries. To make matters worse, she was even arranging to meet her latest partner on the day of my birthday. Nowadays, I've started to feel a lot better, thanks to exercise and therapy. I had never been to a therapist before in my life, and honestly, I regret not going sooner. Despite my wife betraying me in the worst possible way, part of me still thought that maybe all of this was my fault. Maybe if I had done this, or if I had put more effort into that. I blamed myself for a lot of things. My therapist helped me see that, while I could have done some things differently, in the end, I cannot be held responsible for the actions she chose to take, and no one deserves to be betrayed the way I was. If I'm at fault for anything, it's for blaming myself for everything, always putting her needs ahead of my own, and trusting her unconditionally without question. While it was extremely hard for me to balance work and look after the kids alone every time she went on these trips, I always let her go after convincing myself that I was doing it for her, to support her business, to let her relieve stress from being at home. I believed this is what a supportive husband would do, and thought that if I had a better job or made her happier, she wouldn't feel the need to escape from home. I'd be lying if I said I'm not depressed anymore, but I'm certainly doing much better these days. Nowadays, I feel more rage than sadness, and it's that rage that's keeping me going. My therapist advised me to channel this rage into the things I do, which has worked surprisingly well. I talked with 2 law firms about my situation and was advised to collect more evidence, which I've been devoting myself to over the past few weeks. I've finished digitizing all of her diaries from the past 2 years, which were quite extensive. I gained access to her computer and found numerous photos, chat conversations, and documents to help my case. She's been posting all of her adventures in a very distorted private Facebook group, and I've taken plenty of screenshots. I've compiled a list of all her affair partners from the diaries and have been identifying them one by one on social media. I've gathered everything I could on her current affair partners, even managing to figure out where they live and/or work. Now, I'm debating whether I should confront them or not. The things I've read in these diaries are so bizarre that I thought maybe she was just writing material for some sort of twisted novel, until I found all the other evidence on her computer. Maybe I'm broken myself, but a part of me is actually enjoying the process of gathering all these pieces of evidence, cross-referencing them with her diaries, and finding everything I can about her and her lovers. Part of me wants to see her burn on social media by posting everything I've discovered, especially since her business relies heavily on it. But I'm holding back, knowing it would also affect me, the kids, and her parents, who have been nothing but kind to me since we got married. I'm also unsure whether to bring this to their attention, as it would probably devastate them. I'm planning on confronting her after consulting further with the lawyers to ensure I can gain custody of my kids. The country I live in tends to unfairly grant custody to the mother, even if she's unfit. I'll also be discussing the terms of the divorce and child support. In any case, thank you all for the advice. A few weeks ago, I was in complete despair and had no idea what to do or how to approach the situation. Now, little by little, I feel like I'm digging myself out of this hole I've been thrown into. Sorry if I don't respond to all your comments. Right now, my full attention is devoted to protecting my kids.